A one-on-one fighting game? Not seen one of those since Street Fighter 2. Well, as a rule, I'm not super into them. I'm not competitive enough to get good, as they say, so the arcade scene for fighting games holds absolutely no appeal to me. And since that has been the focus of so many of them, a lot of these games are quite lacking in every other area. It's great that all the characters have hard counters and super combos and all that malarkey, but it's not much good to me sat in my house on my own wanting to play a video game. Fighting games need two things for me to be interested: an interesting universe and accessibility, and Tekken 3 delivered. I quite enjoyed Tekken 2 before this, though not enough for it to feature on the list. It was refreshing that it used a new kind of control scheme that mapped each of the 4 face buttons to one of the player's 4 limbs, and this made it feel like you could think about the gameplay more as if you were planning moves in an actual martial arts contest. It made the game less abstracted from reality, and gave you the impression that some of these movesets could be approximated in the real world. This was just an illusion, of course, but it just felt less like having to memorize a string of commands, and more like being able to intuit what needed to be done in the heat of battle. Tekken 3 continued in this vein, but added so many graphical and gameplay improvements it was impossible not to be carried away by the hype. This was another one heavily featured in my beloved PlayStation Plus magazine, but for this one I specifically remember there being a demo disc that everybody had. This was stuck on the front of the official PlayStation magazine and was the only reason to buy that particular publication. It was the boring one for squares that didn't have any of the swearing or sexy ladies in it. But this disc gave you one match to fight in one location between 2 specific characters, Jin and Joyeux. This disc might have been played by people here in the UK even more than Tekken 2. It meant that by the time the full game came out we were all very proficient with those 2 specific characters, but also we were absolutely primed to love it. It was undoubtedly one of the best looking games on the system on release for a start. The arcade game was replicated almost perfectly, the only slight concession being that the backgrounds of the stages are flat rather than 3D modelled. Everything else is here, including the large detailed characters, with far more polygons than they had in Tekken 2. These characters actually look like people, and it was nice to see the 3D tech beginning to reach a place where good-looking visuals weren't sacrificed for existence in a 3D space. It had taken a couple of years, but now we were getting the best of both worlds, with 3D characters and environments and a good-looking art style. The game runs smoother than its predecessor too, with a better frame rate and more responsive characters. Tekken 2 always felt slightly clunky in the sense that some animation priority stopped you pulling off moves quite as quickly in succession, or in response to your opponent as you would like. But here it feels like you have absolute control of your avatar in every moment. So every successful counter, hit or throw is down to your ability, as is every fail. There's a very helpful command list you can bring up when you pause the game that shows you how to do your character's special moves so you can learn as you go. And there are little touches that add complexity for those more advanced players, such as sidestepping moves, which can begin more powerful counter-strikes and combos. In the long tradition of fighting games, there are a good number of fighters who are able to learn and adapt to your tactics not far into the arcade mode, so you'll need to learn to react and alter your approach on the fly if you want to see those gorgeous ending cutscenes. And you do want to see them, because the Tekken world and story has reached a point of delicious silliness that was just perfect to make me want to see every character's path through the King of Iron Fist tournament. As has become tradition, the main story is about Heihachi and his family, the Mishima Zaibatsu. This time it seems like his grandson Jin has demon blood in him, inherited from Kazuya, and Heihachi is going to lay down the law grandpa style. Now look, it's not like I'm defending Heihachi's actions here, but anyone who's spent time with kids knows that sometimes getting punted into an active volcano is exactly what the little bastards need. How this somehow relates to the big bad final boss Ogre and True Ogre is anyone's guess, but True Ogre has to be one of the easiest final bosses in fighting game history. The model is so large and full of polygons that every time you press attack it connects with his face, and he goes down real easy compared to even some of the much earlier opponents. Still sufficiently weird and esoteric to be a Japanese fighting game story mode. It might be best to think of these characters' different routes through the mode as less of a coherent story and more like a collection of music videos grouped together by the theme of the Tekken tournament. Pleasant to look at and entertaining enough, but not much substance to them. If you really want to understand what's going on, you could look at Tekken 7, which attempted to make sense of it all in a single story, but that's a recipe for a wasted afternoon and a headache. Just enjoy the 3D renderer. Oh, whoa, what is happening to her leg? Ooh, this was some early 3D, folks. Perhaps one of the best reasons I look back on this title so fondly is how much content it provided outside of just the one-on-one fighting. And look, nobody is claiming that the Tekken Force mode is some kind of incredible Streets of Rage style example of classic gameplay, but you have to give them credit for trying other things and providing something for the single player at home to do outside of simply climbing the arcade ladder. Plus, I think everyone can agree that Tekken Ball is a fantastic time when played with a friend. Survival and team battle modes round out what is a very substantial offering here, and arguably the most complete fighting game experience released on home consoles to that point. I'm keen to try to distinguish between the quality of the game itself and the memory of the hype surrounding it, and the hype around this one was insane. Magazine articles, demo discs, everyone was talking about it for months before release. But this is one example of the game living up to and even surpassing the expectations. It's still my favourite Tekken, and if you've not played it, you're in for a treat.